Hey, Ken, thanks for taking my call.
You bet. What's up?
So I recently graduated law school and I started working as a lawyer this past June. I was at the law firm for about 5 months, and then without warning, I got called into the with the HR person, and she asked me to come to a conference. I go into the conference room. I wait. The partner comes into the room, sits me down. Before he sits down, he looks at me. He goes, "I won't beat around the bush here. You're fired."
Wow.
And then, that was it. He asked if I had any questions, and I just felt, what's the point in asking anything at this point? Like, he's already made up his mind. And then I was told I had to pack up, leave, and I was out for the rest of the day. And that was it. And I was basically escorted off the property like I actually did something wrong.
What did you do, or what didn't you do?
The week before on the Wednesday, somebody senior to me had sat me down, and she said, "Look, he thinks that you're not getting it." And I said, "What do you mean you're not getting it?" And she just said, that you're just not getting it. So she was like, "Oh, I'm going to work with you. We'll spend some time together every day." And I said, "Okay, happy with that." But in my mind, I just thought, if he couldn't come to me and tell me that himself, obviously this isn't going to go anywhere. And I was listening to your show a lot more at this point because I was like, okay, I need to go and talk to him. I need to figure out what's happening here. But I noticed for about 3 weeks prior to that, he just stopped talking to me and he was ignoring me, and I didn't.
Yeah. So he quit on you.
I couldn't go in.
Yeah, he quit on you. Well, I think you got to learn a couple things from this. Number one, you should have asked more questions. And you've been fired, and the way you were fired is awful, and it sucks. And I'm sorry. I really am. But I do want to make sure that you catch something here. I really wish that when he had asked you, "Do you have any questions?" as shocked as you were, that although you did have some sense that he wasn't happy, the guy had stopped talking to you, and then he had another person, a female senior leader, come to you and go, "Hey, he thinks you're a guy." So there were some clues here. And I think you've got to know for yourself going forward, you got to be okay asking the tough questions and taking the tough truth. Whether or not, by the way, he was right or wrong about you, you got to know what's going on there. And so I will tell you, even the senior leader, what am I not getting? How am I not getting it? Because that's really important, because here's what's going on. As you sit here today, you're very confused, I'm guessing.
Well, so I got a little, after I didn't say anything to him, he did give me a little more clarification. And he said, "Look," he said, "we hired you because we had very high expectations." And he said, "I don't think your drafting is where it should be." But again, I graduated 5 months prior.
Yeah, you're brand new.
I don't know how. Yeah, that's it. I don't know how the expectation was so high.
Yep, I get it. Okay, so why'd you call me today?
Because I don't know how to approach this in interviews going forward.
Specifically what? That you were fired after 5 months?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, look, I think that I don't think you make a huge deal out of it. You're applying to be somewhere else, and they go, "Hey, I see that you worked there for 5 months. What happened?" You go, "Well, I was hired out of school directly for drafting, and they just told me point blank that they had really high expectations, and because I was so new at it, that that they needed somebody with more experience faster." And I think they just lost. I mean, basically what I can take from is they lost patience. I didn't do anything wrong. It's just they felt like they could teach me faster, and they didn't have a real place. I mean, you come up with something, tell the truth, but don't make a huge deal out of it. You know what I mean? And I think that at the end of the day, somebody's looking to hire you for what you can do for them. And I think you focus on that. But when it comes up, you go, "Yeah, it just wasn't a good fit." But I'm so glad, because they put me in a position that they had admitted themselves was unfair for me. That they high expectations, and yet they weren't realistic expectations. I think you just play it out like that, but don't make a huge deal out of it. It's not some stain you need to be worried about walking around with. It happens.
Okay.
Does that help you? Do you understand what I'm saying? You're going to have to address it, but don't make a huge deal out of it and start explaining it away. Just, it is what it is. And you would readily admit, I didn't get clear on what the expectations were either. They weren't clear. And so it just wasn't a good fit. So,
Yep.
so we agreed to move on. You didn't do anything wrong ethically, so there's nothing to be ashamed of. And you know what else?
It just feels bad.
I know. And that's real. Can we just admit for a second it sucks?
Yeah, it does suck.
And it makes you feel like you're not good enough. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But is that true?
No, it just sucks.
I know. So here's the deal.
It doesn't make you feel confident going forward or going to another employer.
No, but here's the deal. I understand, but I get it. But you have to now focus on what you can do, and your confidence will grow. You must focus on, here's what I can do. I am gifted. I'm brand new. I'm extremely, raw coming out of the gate, right? I'm just a recent graduate. I'm as green as it gets. But the good news about green is that means it's going to mature. And when you mature, the strength will come in. So you focus on what you're really, really good at, and you learn some lessons from this, and you go for the right fit. You do your homework. You're a lawyer, for crying out loud. Do your homework and make sure that you're applying in a really good place with a great fit. And here's the other thing. Make sure that you are leveraging relationships, connections, that will get you in the door to where you don't have to overcome anything. They already hear great things about you, and it is your reputation based on their reputation that gets you the interview. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, you got this. You focus on why you want to be there and what you can do for them and how they win. Make sure that you go to my website, kencoleman.com, and download the resume guide, because I want you, whether you use my resume template or not, I want you to read through that PDF. It's absolutely free. And I want you to really focus on the steps you can take as you fill out your resume and you think through the process, because we don't just give you a template. We show you, here's why we say what we say and how we say it on the resume. And that's going to become your elevator pitch. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
All right, you got this. Get your head up. Now listen, there are a lot of people out there that have been through what Maria's been through, or you're sitting there right now and you feel wounded. And the reason you feel wounded is because it was let's just call it what it is. It was an emotional wound when you're fired. So first we must realize that we've been wounded, and when we have a wound, we must heal the wound. We can't just kind of feel sucky for 3 or 4 days and then just try to distract ourselves, and by forward moving inertia, which I respect, just kind of throw ourselves back out there. But here's the deal, because if you do that, you're walking wounded and you're limping and it's going to become infected and all the things. Okay, let's just deal with the fact that I was fired and I really didn't do anything wrong. I was hired improperly, put in a situation where it doesn't look as though I was given much of a chance to win, or I wasn't surrounded enough to win, and it just is what it is. That's not all on you, and you've got to acknowledge that. And when you realize that that's not all on you, well, then you realize that you can keep winning. Get your head up, keep moving forward. This is the Ken Coleman Show.